In an age awash with conflicting voices, we begin with a single declaration. Only one testament on earth stands unwavering, the Holy Bible. Around it, a chorus of newer translations competes for trust. Yet the King James Version endures, charged with preserving truth through time. Our journey retraces the life of the man who authorized that monument, a sovereign whose name, reputation, and very image have been bent by rumor. In the next hour, we will dismantle each falsehood, reveal the motive behind the smear, and restore the record of King James VI of Scotland, James I of England. Across generations, whispers have painted James as tyrant, adulterer, even homosexual. Among many people, particularly those long oppressed, the mention of his name still stirs dismissive laughter or quiet scorn. Yet most who repeat the allegation have never traced its roots. They merely echo words planted to drive a wedge between believers and their book. To bury any literature of power, one must first blacken the hand that delivered it. Thus began a centuries-long campaign to poison the well, ensuring that anyone who questioned scripture could point to its royal patron and turn away. Consider the machinery of modern media, quick to airbrush improprieties when the subject suits the establishment, but curiously silent when lies stalk a figure tied to biblical authority. When a contemporary prince is caught in scandal, front pages soon pivot to tales of his charity, but no such effort has ever rescued King James. Why? Because the very powers that craft reputations had reason to leave his character in ruin. A rehabilitated James would invite millions back to the pages he secured. The clergy of empire, the crown, and the Roman hierarchy each found advantage in the shadows. Within recent memory, the British monarchy marshaled its press forces to cleanse headlines of a prince's Las Vegas indiscretions, recasting him as a devoted family man distributing food to the poor. The lesson is clear: institutions defend the names that serve them. Their refusal to defend James reveals they are architects of the calumny, not its victims. Why would avowed Christian monarchs allow slander of the king who championed their foundational text? Why would Rome, guardian of European Christendom, permit a lie that distances the faithful from scripture? Only when we trace authorship of the rumor do we grasp its utility. By dishonoring James, they dishonor the Bible, persuading slaves, rebels, and skeptics alike that the book is corrupted, European, even perverse. This narrative kept multitudes from searching its pages for liberation. Today we wield the proof. Scholarship, portraiture, and primary records will strip pretense away. Let us first unfold a volume from Cambridge University Press, King James VI and I in the Reunion of Christendom. Prestigious academia documents a very different man from the caricature. And here, preserved on cloth beyond the reach of Renaissance whitewash, is his likeness, features unmistakably African. If King James was a black monarch in Europe, what else has been concealed? If the translator of the Bible shared the color of so many enslaved, how would that reshape their regard for the text? The revelation shatters two entrenched myths, that scripture is a white man's construct and that black lineage held no throne in Europe. If a black king defended a book describing a black Christ, then neither faith nor sovereignty belong to one complexion. Recognizing this is not an exercise in pride, it is a demolition of chains forged from false history. We present facts free of conjecture. Not one historian of standing has refuted the evidence of James's heritage. Silence from the Academy speaks volumes. When challenged, scholars change the subject, unwilling to ignite inquiry that burns their carefully tended illusions. Our aim is not hero worship, but restoration. James foresaw an age when darkness would veil truth. So he moved to preserve sacred writings in the vernacular of his realm. He did not translate a single verse himself. He authorized experts, shielding their work with royal power. What follows is the chronicle of the man and the monumental task he defended. James Charles Stewart opened his eyes on June within the stone ramparts of Edinburgh Castle. He was the son of Mary, Queen of Scots, and Lord Darnley, both of noble blood, both descendants of a lineage largely ignored in modern imagery, black Europeans whose presence stretched back before the Atlantic slave trade. His father was murdered before the boy's second year. His mother was seized and 2 decades later executed. At 13 months, James became King of Scotland. At 12, he was formally anointed. echoing the Hebrew rite that declared a child's passage into manhood. James was not only of African appearance. Messianic sources trace his heritage to the tribe of Judah. Thus he stood as both king and Jew, a living contradiction to narratives that confine Jewish identity or paint monarchy solely in pale tones. Tutors steeped the young sovereign in Greek, Latin, French, Italian, and Spanish. He mastered arithmetic, cosmography, history, and theology, earning repute as one of the most learned rulers of his day. Such erudition, had it been trumpeted to enslaved Africans across the Atlantic, might have inspired hope and rebellion. Better then for colonial powers to erase it. During the same centuries that Africans toiled in bondage, James's example testified that black intellect and rule were once celebrated in Europe. Recognizing this threatens the narrative that subjugation was inevitable or deserved. After 36 years guiding Scotland, James ascended the English throne in 1603, uniting England, Scotland, and Ireland under a single scepter, the first to govern all three. He thus became James VI Saint, the United of Scotland, and James V of England, architect of the entity we now call Great Britain. Such achievement is seldom highlighted in modern classrooms. Rome's storytellers prefer a very different portrait. If Rome truly sought to draw black souls to the Bible, it would herald James as exemplar. Instead, agents circulated tales of incest and perversion. A defamed king invites disdain for the text he endorsed, leaving the Vatican free to steer believers toward newer versions under its control. James convened scholars to translate Old and New Testaments from Hebrew and Greek into English. The fruit of their labor, the King James Version, remains the most faithful rendering. Before we probe the translation, let us handle its physical proof. An original Oxford edition, complete with the 14 books of the Apocrypha, bound between testaments. Pastors who dismiss those books betray history. The first King James Bible declared them canonical. Within those pages, Europeans are prophesied to raise a false image of Christ, impose new religions, and displace Israel's tribes. Removing the Apocrypha maxed these indictments, ensuring congregations would not question emerging power structures. Publishers excised the Apocrypha, claiming lack of inspiration. In truth, the omission served political ends. If native peoples of the Americas were identified as lost tribes of Israel, the moral framework of colonial conquest would crack. Ministers who plead that color is irrelevant ignore the wounds inflicted by racial lies. When oppression paints Scripture as weapon of the oppressor, truth matters. The correction of James's identity is no trivial pursuit. It is lifeline, restoring faith to those alienated by deceit. During the Civil Rights era, agitators leveraged legitimate anger towards segregation to push Islamic ideologies and sow doubt in the Bible. By invoking a white, immoral King James, they cast Scripture as tool of the oppressor, diverting many from the liberation encoded within. Renaissance artists whitened countless images, yet one cloth portrait resisted alteration. To repaint it risked destruction. Instead, custodians locked it away in universities, accessible only to select eyes. To hide the heritage of James was to shield the larger secret of black rule in Europe. James's writings branded the Pope as Antichrist and condemned idolatry. He warred not with sword alone, but with pen against the Roman Catholic Church and rising orders of occult philosophy. Collections of his works survive, bearing titles that proclaim his devotion to the Most High. He denounced the Rosicrucians, sorcerers, and any enterprise seeking to eclipse the light of Scripture. Such defiance bred enemies who waited for his death to exact literary revenge. 25 years after his passing, Anthony Weldon released the court and character of King James, financing secured by Rome's coffers. Weldon nursed personal grievance after James dismissed him from court. Francis Osborne joined the effort. Their pamphlets birthed the accusations that still echo, accusations unvoiced while James lived for fear of swift rebuttal. The rumors ignored Anne of Denmark, James's sole wife, with whom he fathered 9 children. Fidelity in marriage stands at odds with allegations of hidden lovers. If slanderers were honest, they would have grappled with this record, yet they remained silent, intent on portraying an image convenient to their agenda. Claims that James lay with his mother collapse under simple chronology. His father perished when James was an infant and Mary was imprisoned the same year, executed when he was 21. At no point did geography or circumstance allow the charge. Some allege James altered the Bible to suit his aims, but a monarch need not edit text when he can mold minds. Rome introduced mistranslations such as Easter in place of Passover, yet those slips do not justify discarding the entirety. Better to study than surrender. Isaiah foretold the Most High speaking to his people in another tongue, stammering lips. James's commission fulfilled that prophecy, providing an English record for the last days. He moved knowingly or not, under divine impetus. The translators, drawn from every corner of scholarship, labored to ensure that when the children of Israel awoke from captivity, an accessible record awaited them. This is why the version endures. It married sanctity of source with clarity of language. Had the Bible been written to elevate whiteness, its pages would depict white patriarchs. Yet Moses, Christ, and the tribes are portrayed as people of color. The same scriptures Rome upheld in conquest betray their narrative. Moses warned that a nation swift as the eagle would descend. Rome, symbolized by that very bird. Obadiah echoed the vision. The eagle flags of empire proclaim their identity even as they deny it. After Rome's return to power, Germanic and Edomite lines supplanted black nobility. Families ruling Britain today are heirs not of Judah, but of Edom. The guillotine claimed James's son Charles through the machinations of Oliver Cromwell, while the first Queen Elizabeth was replaced by a new dynasty bearing her name. James anticipated the onslaught. His dedication at the Bible's front declares intent to dispel darkness enveloping the land, to guide Zion toward light, and to secure peace at home and abroad. Though his bloodline was hunted, his work endures. 2 Thessalonians foretells a man of sin revealed after a great falling away. James identified the papacy as that Antichrist, the son of perdition. His assertion cost him allies, but history vindicates his courage. Research indicates that Amalek, forebear of today's powerful elites, now occupies thrones once ruled by Judah. Through political tides and calculated violence, they re-established dominion, presenting themselves as rightful sovereigns. In preserving scripture, James risked and ultimately forfeited his dynasty. He understood that the seed of Israel would someday awaken, needing a compass uncorrupted by royal decree or papal bulls. His legacy is a map through the labyrinth of lies. With evidence laid bare, each listener must choose. Embrace truth or persist in narratives authored by enemies. The stakes are nothing less than spiritual freedom. Christ proclaimed, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." We now hold that truth. Let chains of rumor fall, let eyes open to the light James guarded. Shalom, all praises to the Most High.